gold's close to record highs and has been close to those record highs within plus 10% for the last 18 months. But we're in this liquidity crisis that's making it very hard for junior explorers or junior companies to get the money they need to create a value proposition. And so I stand up today with Heliostar with probably a different strategy to nearly everyone who'll present at this conference. We're building a gold producer. We want to build what will ultimately become a multi-billion-dollar business, and we think that starts with our Ana Paula acquisition. And so the logic that we had in acquiring Ana Paula is with all these mergers in the gold space, gold companies getting bigger and bigger and bigger, they're leaving a big vacuum behind in that 100 to 150,000 ounce a year producer range that's proven to create very successful businesses that mostly get taken out, Yamana's, Kirkland Lakes, early version of Goldcorp, etc. And so our vision is quite different from most companies in that production sense. And our view is we're not waiting for this generalist capital to come in. I have to convince you today to sell a stock that you have as someone who believes in gold and junior mining to come in and buy Heliostar. That's the philosophy with which we've built Heliostar. And for me, it comes down to the speed at which we can move and the profitability of the projects that we have. And so today I'll introduce you to Ana Paula and the recent results we've received in particular. And so Ana Paula today is a 1.4 million ounce deposit in Mexico at just under 2.2 grams per tonne. It's permitted for open pit mining. It's had over $75 million spent on it, and it has a PFS focused on the open pit scenario. We've also got a great depth of growth projects to backstop our current valuation. Very quickly, if you look at our structure, we've got 148 million shares outstanding. We raised $20 million closed in March this year, 1.5 times our market cap. It was a huge reach for us to get Ana Paula, and we did it on the back of some tremendous institutional support. We've got Franklin Templeton, Eric Sprott, Adrian Day, a number of long-only gold funds that came into the company, and a very heavy institutional register for a company our size. Despite everything I described about the status of Ana Paula as an open pit, we chose to buy the asset because we think it's going to be a very high-grade underground gold mine. And so this year we're setting out to rescope the project as an underground, and that's got 3 key goals that I'll introduce today that we think can drive a lot more valuable economics and a much lower capex, driving a much more profitable end result. I honestly don't know the project in Mexico that can be in production quicker, the gold project that can be in production quicker than Ana Paula. We'll do a feasibility study next year. We can be pouring gold in 3 years. That's the advantage of speed that Ana Paula has. Then in terms of growth, I'm going to introduce you to the high-grade panel that's at the core of Ana Paula. We think we can lift that over 1 million ounces. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to grow Ana Paula as a whole over 2 million ounces. And then we've got a massive land package in one of the most prospective gold belts in the world. For perspective, the 2 closest deposits to us are 15 and 20 million ounce deposits, cumulative mined resources and reserves. So we're in a part of the world that can create monster gold ore bodies. We're located 4 hours south of Mexico City, although the first hour is just traffic getting out of Mexico City. We're 20 kilometres northwest of Torex. Torex was the 10th largest gold producing mine last year. You can literally see the high wall of the pit when you stand there. Torex is coming up on 5 years of steady state, quarter in, quarter out production, and that's exactly what we propose, or what we propose to do with Ana Paula is in the same communities, same valley, same deposit type. Now they've gone underground, the same mining methods. So everything we're proposing is possible at Ana Paula is being done 20 k's away. There's no greater validity than that. If you look at the infrastructure, so we've agreed to pay $30 million total for Ana Paula. We paid $10 million up front and the remaining milestone payments targeted around delivering a feasibility study, construction decision, commercial production. Incredibly generous terms when you think that we paid cents in the dollar for this kind of infrastructure, the camp, the facilities, the decline, and then the soft infrastructure. We have the open pit permit. We have either all of the surface rights or a 30-year access agreement on all the ground that would be disturbed in that permit. Probably $50 to $70 million replacement cost that we paid cents in the dollar for. The deposit has this very broad, low-grade halo with a very high-grade core. And so everything we're going to talk about is focused in that black box there, a zone that's 250 metres long by 100 metres tall by 60 metres wide, going 5.5 grams per tonne. This is not a narrow vein system. This is not a nuggety system. This is a big, broad, high-grade zone. And so our catalyst for this year, our deliverables have 3 key prongs. We think we can grow the reserve. We think we can bring high-grade ounces forward in the mine life because there's never previously been an underground mine plan. So we don't have to mine from the top down. We can go straight into 10 gram plus material, which is huge for the economics of this deposit. We think with a good network program, there's a lot of upside for us on the metallurgy as well. And so if you zoom into the high-grade panel that I showed at the core, there's holes in this like 80 metres at 14 grams, 57 at 18, 63 at 15. There's multiple zones of very wide half-ounce material at the core of Anapola. It is spectacular. And so we believe that we can grow this panel in two regards. In these red circles, pretty simply up dip and down dip. We think we can add ounces in those directions. And then in these white circles, and it's a slightly sort of getting into the details a little bit, but take this western white circle. The hole to the left, 20 metres at 17. The hole to the right, 63 metres at 15. But if you look at those resource blocks, they're only showing 5 to 10 grams. The geology is consistent. The grades just dropped because there's a lack of drill density here, and they've been conservative in that estimation. So our theory was with an infill drill program and a growth drill program, we can add ounces and grade. At the beginning of this week, we put out our first drill results from Anapola. Heliostar's first ever program. We closed the deal about 6 weeks ago, started drilling about 4 weeks ago, so we've moved very rapidly. And there's a couple of things that should stand out. First of all, the widths and the grade. 101 metres at 8 grams per tonne gold in 292. 44 metres at 11 grams in 291. Spectacularly wide, high-grade zones of gold mineralisation. And one of the key features of our theory was that we could improve on the resource. And if you look at hole 291, exactly where we thought we'd get a better outcome, at a 5 gram cutoff, we increased that by 30% on what the model estimated. So we've got proof that our theory is right with these drill holes. To talk about consistency of grade, if you take 292 and this core intercept, this 53 metres at 11 grams, that's made up of 57 individual samples. Only one was less than 2 grams per tonne. When you go underground and you mine this, that's exactly what you want. This is not where if you miss the vein, you go broke. If you miss 10, 15 gram dirt, you mine 8 to 10 gram dirt. If you miss that, you mine 6 to 8. This is exactly what you want for a very high margin, very profitable underground gold mine. The other big factor of going underground is that we can bring high grade forward in the mine life. You don't have to spend a few years pre-stripping, mining low grade to get to this real core. You can push the decline that's already 400 metres in straight into this ore body and say, we'll just mine some of these 10 gram plus zones. That does spectacular outcomes for the economics. We think this year we can take the NPV in the 400 to 600 million range for a CapEx somewhere in the 150 million range. The CapEx is so cheap because of the sunk capital, because it's only, say, 4 million to push the decline into that ore body, say 6 with some contingencies and development work. So smaller mill, much cheaper cost to get into production on the high-grade panel, bring those ounces forward, means that we can have a lot of free cash flow that can build our business as a whole. Everything we talked about has just been focused on the core of the high-grade panel. If we start to look to growth, Anapola has a lot of upside. The decline was put in by a precursor called Alio because they wanted to go and drill off the lower part of this resource that's open. This expansion zone has holes in it like 40 metres at 6 grams, 13 metres at an ounce. There's a lot more low-hanging fruit below the high-grade panel, and ultimately, in the geological sense, this should turn into a more copper-rich skarn like occurs just to the south at Torex's Media Luna underground. Torex is putting in $800 million worth of development to bring that online as we speak. If you zoom out a further step, as I touched on, this is a nearly 30 million ounce district that we're in the heart of. We've got a massive land package, we've got huge deposits around us, and all the focus for the last 10 years has been focused on Ana Paula, especially with that open pit scenario. So no one's gone and focused on the deeper drilling, growing Ana Paula as a whole, and then stepping back at looking at a district that's ripe for very, very big ore bodies. So our plan laid out on a page has two prongs. In blue, it's our development timeline. It's that speed that I talk about that's unique. We will rescope the project over the next 6 months. This is not 2-3 years out. This is 6 months worth of work for us to deliver what we believe will be a lot stronger economics. A feasibility study next year. We'll be at a construction decision at the end of next year. And then if you look at projects like Terronera or Silvercrest, 18-month build time, pouring gold in 2026. Then in terms of growth in green, grow the high-grade panel. We have not drilled the best result in Ana Paula. I'm very confident of that. We'll have consistent news over the next 6 months from a drill results perspective. We will deliver the underground mine sequencing, which we think is very powerful for the economics in the middle of the year. We'll deliver the met work by September, which will lead to that resource update in the end of November. I think we present a very wide, very high-grade ore body that can be in production quicker than nearly any project that you know of in Mexico or North America as a whole. We think we've got a very exciting 2023 in front of us, and we think this is the kind of project that gets capital in markets like we have today. Thank you.